We should be live. Hello, this is Nicholas Tanek, and I'm back. I'm back from the hospital and better. Thank you for waiting. And according to my booking agent, my people, wow, do I have a bunch of guests lined up for me. I am going to be overworked. And we're starting out with Australia again. Oh my God. There's a lot of stuff going on in Australia, but we're not going to talk about it.
Oops,
a lot of controversial
the stream dropped out. Are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm there. I can hear you. You're good. Okay, but we are going to talk about Australia just as a place to live and fun, and where to go, where to eat. We're going to talk about escorting, and we'll have some fun about some other things too. Please welcome Dominic. Say hello.
Oops, can you hear me? It's dropping out a bit.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so all I heard was where to eat, and then it dropped out.
I said, please welcome Dominic.
Okay, hi everyone. Hi Nicholas, thank you for inviting me on the show.
Thank you for being here. And obviously, everybody can tell that Dominic's not showing his face. Let's just say there's there's a lot of things going on, and he's choosing not to, and I totally respect that.
It's also the stigma that I face. I just don't want it.
Okay, so let's begin. Tell us about your first time out as a kinky person.
That was an interesting one. So when I was younger, I used to go to a lot of dance parties, and I used to collect the flyers and the posters because I was just really interested in it. It was part of my lifestyle and my passion. And I used to go to one particular record store to collect flyers. And there was this little black and white flyer that seemed a little bit odd in a sea of these color flyers, and it had the Hellfire Club on it. So I was like, oh, what's this thing? And then it said free entry, and I went, and I didn't know at the time it was a BDSM party. So I walked in going, what the hell is all of this stuff? I was 17 years old at the time. And I went, I don't know what this is, but I know I like it. And then that started the journey and the odyssey. There wasn't, the internet wasn't so strong at that time. Websites like FetLife didn't exist, not so many publications. So there was only one BDSM sex store in my city. And I went there and dropped like $600 worth of equipment a couple of weeks after the party. And then I started a relationship about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months after that first experience, and then started experimenting with that girlfriend, and the rest is history.
Nice. Now, what would you say are your specialties or your favorite things about BDSM?
Well, for me personally, as well as professionally, I love the intersection between sensuality and kink and BDSM. Sensuality and Tantra and BDSM, bringing consciousness and presence to the experience, being completely engaged into it, and bringing tantric principles into my kink play. That's, for me, is where it's at.
Okay, well, let's talk about Tantra. You're talking about Tantric Sex, meaning that sex that you can make it last a long time?
That's one aspect, definitely, of Tantra that it's known for. But just being super conscious, I know that's a word that gets thrown around a lot, and bringing presence, which is very hard to even describe. But it's bringing everything that I've learned from that. So in my framework of sexuality, there's 3 types of sex. There's the very hormone, genital-based, you're hot, I want to have sex with you, animalistic urges take over kind of vibe. Then there's the second type, which is the heart-based connection. And then there's when you get into the tantric sex, as in the way that I see it, it's where the souls collide. You're connecting to the divinity of the person, not just so much their physical appearance or their character. It's going to the deepest layers and bringing a spiritual vibe, essence, whatever you want to call it, to the BDSM play.
Interesting. Now, what would you say some misconceptions are of tantric sex that other people have who haven't lived it or studied it?
Well, the big fundamental about Tantra is that Tantra in itself is a massive misconception. So Tantra, the sexualized version of it, has been the focus of the Western viewpoint and orientation towards Tantra. The Tantric practice is, the only way that I can explain it is the unification of the masculine and feminine internal to a person, let alone, and then that's how it became sexualized, because it's all about masculine and feminine properties. And in the West, when you first hear masculine and feminine, we generally default to sexuality.
That's true.
So there is a misconception about it overall, which overarches the whole experience of having Tantra permeate the West. So the misconceptions around tantric sex is that's no offense, but that's one of the misconceptions. It's just about lasting longer. That for me is like a positive byproduct of tantric sex, but it's not the focus. So so I would say, what's the best way to put it? The over focus on sexuality in the tantric framework has probably been the biggest misconception. And the other one is that it is just about, prolonging sex. That is again, it's just a positive byproduct of that.
Interesting. Okay. So let's, where you are, it's legal to be an escort.
Correct? Yes.
Yes. You are friends with Sai, who I just interviewed for the second time. She mentioned you. We'll get into Sai in a bit. I love Sai.
She's really, really great. Oh, everything about her.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, she's brilliant. Second, she doesn't. I can't say she or he. Let's just say Sai. Sai is brilliant. Very creative, has great taste also, and is picky as can be. So, both of you. All right, let's just go to Sai. Both of your escorts. How did you two meet?
We met through. I don't remember exactly, actually, but I'm not sure if it was through our work or if it was before that. But because we both worked for the same place for a number of years. I don't actually remember exactly when we met, but I know that our friendship became stronger because we both worked at the same place.
Okay, so, and just like other parts where escorting is legal, even where it's sometimes illegal, there's places where people are in and out. There are just groups of people that help each other out, look after each other, and then there are people who do it completely on their own. You obviously, in the beginning, you worked at a place, but what are you doing now?
Correct. I'm working independently now, so I have a space in the city which is a legal sex on premises established place, and I just hire it as I need to. But yeah, I've just gone completely independent. But the place that we both started working at was a completely legal establishment. So we are lucky in that way that sex work currently is still legal in our country. We don't know for how long, but it is currently like that.
Yeah, definitely. Excuse me.
So maybe I do want to add, just as a bit of background on me,
Yeah.
I don't do full service sex in my work. I just keep it to the kink style. Keep it to kink. I do touch the clients in a sexual manner, but my genitals, my body, oral, none of that is part of it. I keep
You
it
don't
strictly kink.
you don't physically have sex with them in any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all.
Interesting. Okay, now, um, especially where it's illegal escorting, it can get dangerous.
Very much so.
How do you keep it safe?
I do the absolute best that I can. So a hell of a lot of communication beforehand. Understanding the client's situation. Are they married or not? I just do everything that I can to make it, to get as much as informed consent as humanly possible. And I just keep it working in, I stick to working in legal places. I try to, just extract as much information as I can to keep it not just safe in a legal sense, obviously checking IDs if I think the person's not, if the person's quite young. But I try to keep it safe and across all facets, from their psychological, physical, and emotional safety, as well as the legal side of it for myself.
Interesting. There is, especially any escorts that kind of work on the street illegally, there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Dangerous people out there, and they automatically think because you're an escort, you're homosexual, and the person is the person who's the bad person is homophobic and ends up doing something very dangerous. Is that an issue in Australia?
There is not. I think it's changed a lot lately. I can't remember the last time I saw a street worker. I actually can't remember. I remember seeing them about 20 years ago in my city, in certain spots in the city. But I honestly can't remember the last time I saw one. So people have the ability to work from homes and stuff. I'm not 100% up on the laws on that, so don't quote me on it. But there's lots of brothels, there's agencies, there's websites, there's vetting systems. There's a whole bunch of things that are going on in this country which help. Yeah, so there are databases kept by sex workers, which they talk amongst themselves. They share problems and issues and stuff. So there is kind of like a community vibe to it, in a way. So there are, we've got government funded agencies which advocate for the rights of sex workers and all sorts of different things, as well as the safety of sex workers. So in this country, anyways, it's not that bad. So I can't really talk about the street worker stuff because I don't have much experience with it and don't really see it so much anymore.
Okay.
Maybe in the US it's a little bit different. I understand that. Again, I'm not too clued in with what's happening in different countries. But here it seems to be getting a lot better and a lot safer. Of course, there's always issues that arise because of human nature. But overall, I think it's moving in a good direction. There is some new laws. I think Sai would have talked about that possibly. There is some new things that are being proposed around the whole sex industry. But currently, as it stands, it's pretty good. It can always get better, of course.
Definitely. Now, I am not saying one sex works harder than the other. I'm not saying one sex is better than the other, but how is being a female escort different than being a male escort?
Well, I think one of the key differentiators is that we have men generally have the ability to defend themselves physically much easier. So I don't seem to have those. I don't worry about that so much, I would say, in comparison to how a female sex worker would view it. But I don't want to put words in their mouth or
Sure.
falsely misrepresent female sex workers. But I think that's probably the major fundamental difference, is that men can much more easily physically protect themselves if the situation calls for it. But again, I think I'm not a traditional escort, so again, I don't have the first-hand experience of doing full service sex work.
Because you don't have sex with. Now, are some of your clients men or transgender?
Yes.
Is that a yes for both?
Yes, but it's much more. It's not common for me to have that type of client. They seem to gravitate towards different providers. I'd say the vast majority of my clients have either been hetero cis women and or lesbian women, actually, as well as couples. But I have done some services with men, but it's generally not the norm, because usually they want some sort of sexual contact, and they usually want a little bit more than I'm willing to provide, so they would gravitate towards gay masters who they focus generally on that.
Now let's talk about couples real quick. A couple has no experience with an escort at all.
Yep.
Has little to none experience with BDSM at all. What advice would you give a couple who would come to you?
I would give the same advice, or if giving advice versus someone who comes to me is a little bit different. If
someone just reaches out to you, like online, someone who wants a session, basically.
Yeah, so I encourage couples to actively seek out professionals, because there's only so much a book can provide. So I would tell them, as I would tell anyone, is to educate yourself to the nth degree. But when couples come to see me, it's a little bit different to say just a person who's single coming to see me, because you have to take into consideration each person inside the couple as an individual, let alone their relationship dynamic, let alone their shared and individual goals. So it's a little bit more complicated, but it's extremely rewarding.
Interesting. Now, do any of the couples, either the man or the woman, did you ever come in contact or come to the situation where one of them is jealous?
Generally, no. It's the couples that have come to see me have been in very good relationships, and they've already thought about this, and they might be jealous, and then that's why they come to see me, because I'm this professional that's an outsider, and they're not just paying for the service, they're paying for the fact that after it's over, I'm not going to be harassing any one of the partners for anything in any shape or form. So they're coming to me because it's a safe way to deal with opening up their relationship or having a new experience or learning something, while mitigating the usual triggers which would spike jealousy. Yeah, it seems to, because I'm a professional and I'm very open and we can discuss things, and it's a service that I'm providing. It's not me personally so much, it's me as a service provider. So it seems to add another layer which turns down the jealousy vibe.
Yeah, like I may think the cashier is cute, doesn't mean I'm gonna, take her home.
Correct. So I remember one couple specifically coming to me to help work through their jealousy issues. Yeah. So because because they could consciously discuss it. And, you know, I looked, it was the man who was jealous in this instance. I looked him dead in the eye and said, mate, I do not want your partner in any shape or form. You know, like what you're about to see and experience is me being me, as, you know, you're going to get what you pay for, right? Mm-hmm. So this is me being a service provider. And that kind of talk made him just relax. And he was able to create a container for the experience, which doesn't spill out and spike any other insecurities or fears or jealousy outside of that. So it helped them work through it a lot.
Interesting. Now, a lot of I talked to a lot of female escorts in Australia. I talked to a male one also in Australia, but a lot of the female dominatrixes and a lot of the escorts and all that stuff, they really go out of their way to dress a certain way and to look a certain way with makeup,
yes,
with clothing, corsets, leather, rubber, you name it. Do you, like, if you're meeting someone at your place, do you dress up, or is there certain ways to prepare?
Yeah, definitely. So I've got a couple of different looks if the client wants something specific, like, you know, the black suit, the suit orientated vibe. I can go the military style. I can go leather. I'm not really a fan of latex on me personally. I love latex on everyone else. I just don't feel I look good in it. So I don't offer that as a costume choice. But if they don't stipulate any particular look, I just go with like a basic black, you know, military boots, black shirt, keeping it a bit, you know, dominant, kind of traditional, classic look to it. But so with me personally, they're not really coming to me because of my physical attributes. Yep. You know, that my face isn't out there. They're not touching me physically. So it's more about my skill set and my experience moreover than a look.
Okay. Now, this is a two-parted question, okay?
Yep.
Being an escort,
Mm-hmm.
what are the downsides? And that's part one. And part two is, what are the perks?
I haven't really experienced any downsides except for the stigma that goes along with it outside of delivering the experience. Within the realm of it, I've had a fantastic experience. I've very rarely had a session where the client wasn't 100% satisfied. So I think that one of the perks for me personally is I get to do my passion. I get to do what I find rewarding and fulfilling. And I love sharing. I love coaching. I love seeing people grow. So it's a little bit different to, say, traditional sex work, which is maybe more vanilla based. The people that come to see me, a lot of them, I'd say 80% easily are first timers. So they're coming to explore themselves. And they, you know, the sexuality of a person can give you a lot about their character and where they're at in life. And it's just been one of the most amazing things to be entrusted with this position to give people their first time experience and watch them blossom and grow from that. So I don't know, except for the stigmatism that comes with having this role from the normies in the vanilla world. I don't see any downsides for me personally.
Oh, no, those are some good perks. Those are some good perks. Yeah. Now, is it okay to talk a little bit about impact play?
Sure.
Okay. For those who don't know, impact play, if anyone watching this probably knows what impact play is, but it's consensual play. So there's a lot of tools that can be used. Riding props, whips, paddles, hell, a ruler. You know, the list goes on and on. Do you have a personal favorite?
I would say I've got 16 custom floggers. So flogging is definitely the thing that I would like the most out of the impact play side of it, because it's, for me, I get to express it as a human erotic art. It's very hard to, this is just my personal opinion, you know, other professionals and other dominants would have their opinion, but this is mine. I find it very hard to deliver a sensual experience with a cane, for example, or a paddle. It's very abrasive and abrupt, and it's a thing. With the flogger, you know, you can change materials, you can change the weight, there's so many variables within it. And like, I've got floggers that I could hit someone as hard as humanly possible and it won't make them flinch. So they'll feel something, you know, it's not like it's air or anything. They'll feel it, but there's no sharp sting. So within the realm of that, I can deliver a more sensual experience that doesn't bring them out of their headspaces as a sharp sting does. So that's why
do you prefer the large floggers or the smaller floggers?
I prefer the flogger that the submissive is open, enthusiastically want to experience. So I don't have a preference on one more than the other. I do enjoy the sensual ones because it's that whole tantric vibe. You know, they can be flogged without having such an abrupt reaction that it brings them out of the flow of everything else that's happening. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, totally, definitely. And just curious, do you name your floggers?
No, not at all. There's too many. I don't have a memory that good. I just go, the most I ever describe, if when I'm talking to a client or a potential play partner or anything, is I have floggers that are so light that you'll not even notice, all the way to Jesus fucking Christ, that hurt. So it's more about describing the range of them than actually naming any individual one.
Now, I've been to some BDSM festivals and parties and stuff like that, and most of the flogging, a lot of it has the person getting flogged tied up to a San Angel's cross. Yep. But there's a million ways. But it always seems like they're going on their back. The flogger, the person who's doing the flogging, is going on their back. Is that the main section of the body that you would flog?
Definitely not. The main areas, again, so wait, are we talking professional or personal? Because they do have different characteristics. So on the personal side, I will flog any. Oh, that dropped out. Are we there still?
Yeah, we're here. Oh, by the way,
okay.
If you totally freeze, just exit out and come back in.
Okay, cool. So on the personal side, I will flog anywhere that isn't hands, arms, face, joints, knee, calf muscle, kidneys, spine, stomach. I'll probably just stick to where I do flog: front and back of the legs, the butt, the top of the back, very lightly. Like, I got some light floggers which I would use there. You know, obviously, like, we're just, you know, near the shoulder blade. Stay away from the kidneys big time, because that can produce some really nasty internal damage. And I will do some like pussy or breast flogging, but that's with extremely light floggers, and I'll do that in a very, very extremely light way. Every partner I've ever introduced that to pretty much has enjoyed it, and some of them ask for it after a while, because it's such a again, it's the light flogger. It's very hard to describe what the sensation feels like, but it's very, very soft. So again, it's more around the sensual realm. In the professional aspect, I will very rarely, if ever, flog anywhere outside of the butt, because a lot of the clients can't have marks shown, or they go to the beach or whatever, and they don't want to explain bruises on their legs and stuff. So I'll just keep it localized to the butt. They can cover it afterwards, and it's much easier for them to deal with.
Okay. When, like I was saying before, when I went to like these dungeon parties and stuff, and people were flogging people's backs, they were kind of doing it like, and they were doing it like in a cartwheel like kind of motion, like a circular motion. Do you have a specific motion that you like best, like this or like this or circles? Or
I prefer the backhand, doing it from a backhand. It seems to be that I've got much more control compared to a forehand hit.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason that I don't understand the mechanics exactly, backhand seems to be more, you can control it more, yeah? And another motion which seems to be able to, it's all about control and the placement for me. I try and not do any wild strokes which can have tails going in random directions. And a top-down kind of motion, if I can. So you hold the flogger, like if I've got it here, you bring it up, and you kind of keep it along your center line of your body, and you can go top-down, and that seems to have amazing control. So for the precision, the placement, and controlling the force, my two go-tos would be the top-down, as well as a backhand more than any other stroke. But the one that you're describing sounded like Florentine flogging, where they have two and they cross over like this. Were they doing that? Were they crossing over? Like were they using one flogger or two? What you saw?
One.
Right. So I've seen
two. I've seen two.
Yeah, I've seen that at parties. I don't have a set of Florentine floggers. It's not my thing. But I've seen it, and it's very artistic and theatrical more than because it's very hard to apply any pressure when you're doing these flowing movements. So I've seen it used maybe more so for warm up if someone was going to go a bit more harder after, but it's definitely not the norm that I've seen in the flogging realm.
Okay, so here are some fan questions.
Oh yeah,
Aaron, who you talked to, who booked you.
Yep. Hi, Aaron.
Hello, Master Dominic. Glad to see you. She's watching. She has some questions. There's certain questions I can't ask because for reasons we discussed before. Now, the word weird, I love the word weird. But some people like it. Some people think it's bad. Some people think it's good. Some people are just like, oh, that's just strange. What's the weirdest thing a client ever asked of you?
Oh, oh wow. I've got two things to say on that.
Okay.
I would say one client came to me with a fantasy that was like 2 A4 pages long, and it was involving certain people in their life, like really specific people in their life, like, connected to their family and friends and stuff. And it was just really complicated and very nuanced. So it wasn't weird in the sense of like strange. I'd say 98% of everything I've ever done is around central dominance, which is they're not looking for hardcore degradation. They're not looking for extreme, strange, inverted commas, role plays. So I don't actually get many weird requests when it comes to the work. A lot of women and couples and whoever, they want to be adored. So they don't want to feel a very strict authoritarian or something where they're being put down. They want it. The subtext of what I get is that they want to have their self-esteem raised. They want to be brought up and they want to grow within the experience, not be torn down in any way. But the weirdest one would be that one that was just 2 pages. It was just, it was complicated role play involving like 5 different specific men from their personal life. And it's weird in the sense that I don't know how to facilitate that more than what I did, which was get 5 different dildos, put a blindfold on her, trained 5 different voices, was saying them from different locations in the room. So that was probably the most challenging, weird, inverted commas one. And the thing that I want to say about it, I find that the more nuanced the fantasy in the clients that I've dealt with, the lesser the client happiness is. They're still happy, but I've noticed that the more nuanced the fantasy, the harder it is to replicate it that matches the nuanced fantasy. So the best sessions I've ever had is where a woman says, I don't really know, or a couple or whoever. I just keep saying woman because they're the majority of who I deal with. I'll try and train myself to say the client. When they don't know what they want, I found that to be the most rewarding and fun sessions because we're pulling down any expectations and it just becomes fun and explorative.
Yeah, I would also think it makes it kind of unpredictable, which adds a whole level of sensuality and excitement to everything.
As well as they're trusting me to know what is a good experience. Like, I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I have over 20 years of experience in this, and they have none. It's hard for them to know what they want. And when they trust me to lead them in a very slow and measured way, they've been the most amazing sessions ever.
Okay. Now, you said something about the stigma of your profession. How do you deal with that?
I don't talk about it. If I know the person if I can feel out their vibe and they're cool, then I'll if they ask me what I do, I'll share it. But I have an interesting thing to deal with that I do enjoy doing. For example, at a barbecue or at a dinner party, when someone says, "What do you do?" Sometimes I'm like, "This is exactly what I do," and I say it on purpose to watch the reaction. And you'll see a room full of people. Half of them smirk, and the other half are in shock. And then I go, "Right, time, everyone. Here's the rapid fire questions. Who here's been spanked during sex?" And a lot of hands go up. Who here finds that exciting? And then the ones that were judging it, they start to put their hands up. And I say the difference between me and you is that I know exactly who I am. Yeah. I know exactly what I like. You're just in this cognitive dissonance between what you like and what you perceive you should like or people should like.
Plus, you get paid for it.
For me, honestly, that's just the bonus. It really is.
Of course. Yeah. Now, pardon me. Aaron asked, have you ever had a client with a disability? And if so, how did you deal with it?
Yeah, I had one disability. A lady had the upper body wasn't really mobile. There was I don't know any other way to explain it except saying that she had a hump. I don't know the medical definition for it. No one please attack me because I don't know. Or there's just she was incapacitated with her movement, and I just deal with it. We discuss what we're going to do, what she can do, what she can't do, and just tailor the session to deal with whatever disability is going on. But that's the one that comes to mind.
Interesting. Okay, so COVID's going on. It's really tearing the world apart. But I do think eventually there's going to be some kind of semblance of normal, right? It's not going to be normal like it was, but there's going to be some kind of semblance of normal. So when that happens, what's the first thing you're going to do?
Well, again, where I'm at, it's not that bad. Like,
is it?
Like I looked yesterday because I saw one of, I knew we were going to talk about this, and we had one case in 24 hours. Like, there's a lot of restrictions going on, but it's not that bad. So, I haven't been personally, except being to a night or some public events. I haven't perceived much change. Maybe it's just my lifestyle. Like I'm very, my partying days are pretty much over. So for me personally, it hasn't been that bad. Probably the worst thing that's happened is that I couldn't get to Europe to teach, and I lost a hell of a ton of money on that. But apart from the travel restrictions, it's like, okay. There was a period of time, of course, where people weren't connecting or hooking up, especially at the start of it, where there was a lot of unknown about the disease and the implications, and then we had some very strict lockdowns. So that was a bit sexually frustrating and annoying. But where I'm at currently, it's not that much of a drama.
Interesting. Okay. Now, you have experience in kink and BDSM, but the rabbit hole goes deep. There are things I'm into that I never thought I'd be into. Is there anything that you're just getting into or that you're curious about that you haven't experienced yet or that you just started to experience?
It broke up halfway through your question. So
I said the kink rabbit hole goes deep. There's a lot of things that I'm into now that I never thought I'd be into 20 years ago. Is there anything new on, like, in the kink lifestyle that you want to try or that you just started trying?
I've just been more proactive than the average kink star, but I've been doing this for 20 years, so there isn't much that I haven't tried. But one area that I am starting to get an interest in again is service-orientated submission. So having DS or kink relationship dynamics with someone that isn't purely sexual. So I'm opening up myself towards that more lately.
Interesting. Okay. Now, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Are you in a personal relationship now?
I have a number of lovers. I just ended a committed relationship about 2 to 3 months ago.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. And how did you meet?
How did I meet these ones in
Yeah, I'm always curious about how kinky people meet.
I meet a lot of people through FetLife.
Oh yeah,
that's where we all hang out.
What is your FetLife account?
Sir_Dominic_SYD.
All right. Now, BDSM on a budget. I highly recommend that if you have the money, support BDSM, a high-end, good quality BDSM products. But not everybody has the money, but they want to be kinky. So let's say you're part of a couple and you don't have that much money, but you still want to be kinky. It doesn't necessarily even have to be products. It could be just doing something. What are some ways to be kinky and not either spend nothing or spend very little?
eBay and AliExpress. Outrageously cheap. Like I'll go into a sex store and I'll see nipple clamps for $30. I'll see the same thing delivered for $3 on eBay or AliExpress, going straight to the manufacturers in China. So that's definitely a way to do it on a budget. Outside of that, get creative and build some stuff. Go to if you want to build your own flogger or anything leather, find some leather manufacturers and ask them for the offcuts. They're really cheap. And then there are tutorials and ways to make your own toys.
Interesting. Okay, now I've never been to Australia. All right. I've never been to Australia. Let's say I got my first trip and I get like 2 weeks. Where's the first place I go to in Australia? I can go anywhere. Dominic.
Kinky related place or otherwise?
It doesn't have to be kink related, just Australia.
Kakadu National Park. Definitely. Yeah, we've got a very beautiful. That's like near Ayers Rock and stuff. So if you're into nature, Kakadu National Park. If you're into culture and a city vibe, Melbourne. Their cafe culture, their whole, like the culture of the city is much more progressive and open-minded than any other city. Sydney is just super corporate. It's just the CBD capital. We've got the Harbour Bridge, we've got the Opera House, not much else. Yeah, but so Melbourne, if you're into the city vibe, and if you're into the nature vibe, Kakadu National Park.
Is Sai's from Melbourne, isn't she? Isn't Sai?
I don't know originally. I'm not. I don't remember. I don't remember, to be honest.
All right. Rapid fire recommendations, and they don't have to be kink related at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Recommend a film.
Blueberry, 2004 film, which is a psychedelic western. Check it out.
That sounds awesome. I gotta check that out.
Yep, it's got a very low rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but I don't understand why. It blew my mind.
Yeah, and I used to love psychedelics.
Yeah, same.
So, okay, recommend a book.
SM 101, Jay Wiseman.
Okay. Recommend a television show.
Vikings. I love that.
Okay. And finally, recommend a meal.
Oh, anything Japanese related. I don't know I can't pronounce the names, don't know the names, but Japanese food is the best cuisine on the planet for me.
Oh, definitely. They do some amazing things with fish.
I was able to go to one of the top Japanese restaurants in the world called Narisawa in Tokyo, and I cannot put words to the experience. I can't. Like, it was beyond amazing. It's like, you know, Japanese obviously are known for their attention to detail. So when you've got one of the best Japanese restaurants in the world, it was just mind-blowing. I can't. There's no words for it. Narisawa in Tokyo, if anyone gets a chance. Oh my God.
Interesting. I think I saw it in a movie or something. I could be wrong though. Okay. This is the 3-word game. Okay.
Okay.
And this is our final thing. So pick a letter from the alphabet, any letter you want.
S.
Okay. Pick 3 words. One of them has to be kink related. The other 2 don't. The other 2 could be, but at least one of the 3 have to be kink related. And all 3 words has to be something you love.
Okay. Submission, skateboarding, and oh God. What's the sashimi.
No.
Got it.
Oh, I love me sashimis. Some salmon. Yeah. Some smoked salmon. I love that stuff. Okay.
Skateboarding with a submissive on the way to eat sashimi would be an ideal. I'm glad you like that one.
That's good. I still have my old board. Pal Peralta Steve Caballero board. It's a street.
Oh wow!
It's not a freestyle street board. Yeah, and
I had one of those.
And there's a great documentary. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore, but Netflix is different in Australia than it is in America. I'm sure you could find it somewhere. It's the story of the Bones Brigade, which is all about Pal Peralta. Yeah. All right. We have finished now, Dominic. Please take this time to plug anything and everything you want.
there's nothing really to plug, except if people want to do some coaching, can do it online or in person, if they're in Australia, of course. I have extensive experience within the coaching realm, so whether it be relationships, sexuality, life coaching, dealing with people's self-esteem issues and confidence issues, and helping to bring out the authentic dominance in a dominant. But apart from that, there's not much to plug.
Well, you have a new website coming out.
Yeah, it's not up yet, but it'll be Sir-Dominic, DOMINIC.com. I'm just rebuilding it and moving it to that domain.
Okay, and you said that you're on FetLife. You are on Twitter also, correct?
Yes, Sir Dominic XXX. So SIRDOMINIC XXX is my Twitter handle. But yeah, if people want to contact me through Twitter or FetLife is very easy at the moment.
Wonderful,
it's direct.
wonderful. Okay, please stay on the line after we're done. I'd like to talk to you about Psy and a little collaboration we got going on that you might be interested in, and some other stuff as well. So stay on the line after we're done. This is Nicholas Tanek, and I'm back, and I'm coming back with a vengeance, people. I was in the hospital for a week, and now
you're okay.
Thank you very much. Now I'm booked solid. I got some interesting people. I got female subs. I got female dominas. As you know, I have escorts and male subs. We got some activists, and hopefully we'll have some comedians and musicians as well as some authors. So check me out, yourkinkyfriends.com. Check out the articles. The articles get buried sometimes. Just click on the articles. Any kink you want to find, go to the search box, type it in, it'll come up. I'm on, we're on FetLife at Your Kinky Friends, one word. I'm on Twitter at Nicholas Tanek. You can find me on Facebook at Nicholas Tanek. What else? Yeah. The whole group, the whole gang is on a Discord chat group, which you can get through yourkinkyfriends.com. Plus, we're at Friends Kinky on Twitter and all that stuff. So, oh my God, I gotta get going. It's getting late. My dom is calling me. All right. Remember the cardinal rule, everybody. Be cool, be kind, and keep an open mind. Take care. Have a great night.
Bye, everyone.